We are getting down to the final weeks of class. We're right now at the end of week 12, and so we still have 1, 2, 3, almost 4 full weeks left. And that means that you're going to be needing to finish up your e-learning modules by within the 4 weeks that remain. The multimedia elements are probably going to be the most time-consuming. So you should start working on them a little earlier. Don't wait until we get to part 6 to do that. Right now, I just finished grading almost everyone's part 4. There are a couple of these that since the ePortfolio database crashed, I have no way of getting to your portfolio so that I can get to your course. When I log in through the course site login page, I've got like 60 plus courses that I have access to, and to find out whose course is whose requires that I get into the course and drill down to the users to be able to figure out whose course belongs to whom, and that's very, very time consuming. So if you haven't received feedback from me, then please send me the link to your project. There are 2 or 3, I think, in this class that still haven't submitted their, when I asked for the link either to their portfolio or to their course site's URL. If you've not received feedback from me, it's because I haven't been able to find your course yet. And if I have to go course by course, it'll take me probably half a day to get through all of them. So if you haven't received feedback, please go ahead and email me the link to your course. What else? I'm looking at the calendar right now to remember some of the due dates. After this week, Team 3 is going to be doing its field trip. Next week, April 13th, the Cooperative Project Wiki Report is due. And the reason I pushed that back to the 13th is to give every team an opportunity, if it wants to include screenshots and experiences from their field trip in the report. And then the final part of the cooperative project is going to be the narrated multimedia presentation, which is due on May 2nd, which is the final day of class. Okay? So there's still a lot of work that needs to be done, and the final thing that you're going to do with your e-learning module, once you've completed all 6 parts, is you're going to have to upload it to TK20 so that we can go ahead and grade it with the standards rubric to make sure that you've met all the standards for this project. Okay? Are there any questions before we pass it on to Team 3? Okay. Then Team 3, if you'll tell us what you want us to do, we're ready to go.
Okay, can everyone hear me? Are we good? Okay, great. Good evening and welcome everyone to Group 3's Field Trip in Second Life. Kate, Marie, Crystal, Ralph, and myself are excited to take you all on a tour of 3 learning environments we found most interesting. We will start with exploring the Exploratorium led by Ralph. Then we will witness a solar eclipse and much more. Next, Crystal will lead you all through the Tech Museum. And then finally, Kate will take you to the Holocaust Museum. Marie will be the last one leaving each site to ensure that everyone gets to the next place. I will be here in Congress transcribing and posting the links if anyone gets lost. So here is our link for the first site. You should have received it, and we're good. So we'll see you there.
Okay, hello, this is Ralph Herrera. We're looking for about 12 participants. I see about 12 people signed up in the Collaborate. Is anyone having any problem getting into the site?
Recording started.
I think I count about 10 people there. We might be missing a few. Okay, no, it looks like we have everyone. Okay, welcome. This is the Exploratorium on Second Life. It's a replica of the actual Exploratorium found in San Francisco, California. If you will follow me, if you notice, I'm going to raise my hand. I'm the guy with the brown hat. Good. All right, go ahead and follow me. You'll notice I'm going to follow a path with little green arrows. Just go ahead and stay with me, follow along. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to a solar eclipse. This is an example of a solar eclipse. If you will look to your left from this pathway, you will notice an Earth up in the sky, and you will notice a red sun or an orange sun in the black background. What you can do from this point is go ahead and actually click on that item that you see there and sit on and watch the eclipse happen. Go ahead and take turns. Actually, the item will be on your left, to your left front, right in front of Jean.
It's that blue globe.
It's the blue, there you go. Someone's got it. As seen from the Earth, a solar eclipse is a type of eclipse that occurs when the moon passes between the sun and the Earth, and the moon or partially blocks the sun. This can happen only at new moon when the sun and moon are in conjunction, as seen from the Earth. So this is a great way for the students to go ahead and sit and look and observe the actual moon passing between the Earth and the sun. Has everyone had a chance to explore that? Good. Anyone else? Okay, great. Now, if we'll continue a little bit further, the next thing we're going to do, which you'll also notice here to your right real quick, is just a simple orbit of the moon, and it'll actually show you how it tilts its plane. You'll look to your right and you can see that there. The orbit of the moon is tilted 5 degrees with respect to the plane of the ecliptic. This means that most months the new moon passes above or below the sun, avoiding a solar eclipse. But twice a year when the moon orbits crosses the plane of the ecliptic, there is a possibility of a total solar eclipse. And what I'll do is I'll go ahead and touch to start the exhibit. You'll notice that I've touched it and the exhibit is actually going to move and start to shift. You can spend a lot of fun looking at many more exhibits that we have here. As you look to your right and left, you'll see various other forms of exhibits that we have. It's just to give the students or anyone that wants to play around and get a visualization of what space can look like. We've seen a solar eclipse. Now we're going to go ahead and jump over to a lunar eclipse. If everyone, do we have the site yet? think Marie will be giving people an invitation to teleport to the next site. Okay, good. Now here, you will notice as you follow me, the lunar eclipse. Of course, it is not to scale, but here's one example here, and this whole exhibit, you can tour and walk in here, and you can see all the different things that occur during a lunar eclipse. The lunar eclipse is interesting because that's when light streams out from every point of the sun. Since the sun is larger than the moon, light from the top of the sun passes over to the top of the moon. Light from the entire sun creates a cone of darkness behind the earth, the shadow or umbria. So this gives you students and people a good example of what that looks like. You will notice on the exhibit, on the major exhibit, you'll notice the big sun, you'll notice the moon, and you'll notice the shading behind the earth. And then you'll see the moon in the far back, a little red looking moon behind the earth. Here we can go ahead and take a few moments to look around and take advantage of the sites that you have. You can actually sit on view eclipses from the various exhibits that are here. Does anyone have any questions about this site? From this location, Marie will get us ready to send us to our third spot in the Exploratorium. The third spot is actually called Splowland. Splowland is a home to interactive museums of science, human perception, and humor. It's going to be a fascinating place. You will notice when you arrive into Splowland, you're going to land on an actual dance floor. And as you move around the dance floor, you'll notice it changes colors. So you go ahead and walk around the dance floor a little bit if you'd like. You'll notice it changes colors. If you'll start on this other end where I'm located at the, I guess, yellow end, you will notice one of the fun things about this place is, well, there's one exhibit here called the chain reaction, which, just shows you how it operates. Any of you can try that out. But this one's really fun. This one here is actually dropping a ping pong ball on a set of mouse traps with ping pong balls. As you touch it here, you'll see the ping pong ball fall, and then you just see a whole popcorn effect of ping pong balls. It's random, but it's interesting to see how they fall and what occurs. You have that. You have this really cool dance floor, but you also have a lot of visual items. If you want to follow along over to your left towards me, you'll notice there's many more exhibits, and even that work on your visual acuity. They're in this area here. You see a lot of they play mind tricks on your mind games, eye games. There are over 50 exhibits. Here you can just walk in and tour and look at the different exhibits and let your mind wander. A really fun one is at the far end of this building to the right. It is the Newton's Cradle. And as you touch it, it actually swings around. It's life size. There you go. You see these on people's desks quite often, and you wonder, you know, I want to play with that just to make it move, just to make it do something. Yes, you can go for a swing.
Ralph, is like that the person? Yes. There's somebody else with us, Patio Plasma. Is that the person that you were talking about?
No, I was waiting for Paul. Okay. But no, I mean, this place is open to anyone, so. I don't think, I mean, Paul didn't give me his name as Patio Plasma, so it might just be someone else that also uses this exhibit.
But they were telling me, or telling us stuff about the thing, because that's why I was asking.
Okay.
Hey, you guys, this is Maricela, and the Patio Plasma did leave in the chat box saying that they're the ones that operate the Sims, and they welcome you and your questions.
But here, as you can see, it's just a lot of science. There's some perception and humor. Some of these exhibits are just funny and fun to look at. But they stimulate the mind.
That is the owner or the person.
Oh, that's him.
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, I don't know if he has voice capability or not.
Yes, they're chatting.
Oh, okay. Well, if anyone has any questions, I'm sure that he can probably explain this area a heck of a lot better than I can. So I'm asking if there's a particular exhibit they would like to show us. There are several others. I know on the outside of this building there's one with baseball that actually shows how the different pitches are thrown with a baseball. And you can actually see the ball spinning, whether it has a right spin or a left spin or a top spin. I mean, it's a really, really cool exhibit, and for those people that are into baseball or may like sports, it's a fun thing. But if there really are no more questions, or if anyone else, if anyone doesn't have any more questions, I know we have several other stops we need to make, and I need to
the owner is chatting.
Pass it over to my to Crystal. I believe she'll be leading the next portion of our tour.
The designer's chatting right now with Professor Corbet.
Oh, I see.
Okay, are we ready to move to the next section? The next location, the Tech Museum?
Yes, I believe we are finished here. And this was the Exploratorium. It's in San Francisco, and once again, I mean, it's a fun time. When you ever have a chance, go ahead and come back and explore everything that's available here.
Okay, I think we're just waiting on a few more people to show up.
While we're waiting for everyone to show up, if you want to remove the Kim Student 2104 from your profile, all you need to do is right-click on your avatar and click on Profile, and then you can remove the group Kim Student 2104 from the list, and then you go back to your regular name.
There we go. Leave it on! In a
I believe that is everyone. I am Crystal, and I'm going to be turning you through the Tech Museum. And I would raise my hand, but I haven't figured out how to do it, so I will jump out just so you'll see. And the Tech Museum, the whole purpose of it is for you to create different museum exhibits, and you can do it collaboratively. And also, the exhibits that are created here are also featured in Science and Technology Museums Worldwide. They do have a link. It's thetechvirtual.org, and you can go there and you can sign up for different projects. You can have groups sign up in your class and just build an exhibit. And what this museum does, it pretty much gives some examples of interactive exhibits, and then it also teaches you how to do it. So we're going to walk through the front doors, if y'all would follow me. And there are 3 levels, and I'm just going to call this the entrance level. Okay, and it has a theater here, which is right here on the right side. We're actually not going to go into that location, Then it has a little sitting area over to the left. But we're going to walk straight forward towards the new venture hall. And this area is a good holding place, a meeting place. You can't really upload anything. I don't know if you have to go through the actual creators of this section because you can't change the board up there. But it is a good meeting place. So we're going to go visit a few examples of the interactive exhibits on the upper floor. So we need to go over here to the left. There are some escalators, well, or stairs, shall I say. The stairs is just a little bit tricky if it's your first time, but it's not terribly hard. But the stairs are on the left, and we're just going to go up. And if you would like to fly up to the upper floor, that'll work too. On this upper floor, there are actually 4 exhibits, and the one that you first encounter right here, it's an interactive exhibit where you can actually make your own design on the wall based upon the squares, and all the squares have different color pixels, and if you click on them, then you can create different designs. So we're going to go straight forward through this little opening to the art of the guitar exhibit, and this is actually pretty cool. And in this exhibit, you're pretty much looking at the relationship between the harmonic chords and the location of the frets on the guitar. On the wall, you actually see 5 guitars, and if you click on each one of those, you would get more information about it. And of course, in the middle, you see this huge guitar. If you sit on the bar, which Kate is on, then it gives you the option to click on 3 different songs, and if you click on one, then it'll actually play it on and show you where your location is on the fret. I thought that was a pretty interesting exhibit. So if you want to, you can click on it and sit on it, and it'll move you up and down the guitar fret. And this museum is all about creating an interactive exhibit. The next room we're going to go to is going to be to your right. And I really like this room. And it has exhibits, and they're called dent sculptures. And there are 3 of them represented here. And these sculptures, they have movement to them. So if you actually click and sit on the little rocks, I guess you'll call them, on the floor, then you would be imitating the movements that the sculptures are using. And on the right, you have a little salsa dance. I'm not quite sure what this is. Looks like the hokey pokey maybe in the middle. Hopscotch maybe on the left side. But this exhibit is all about recreating the motions through these abstract sculptures through your body movement. So if you would like to click on it, I'll give you a minute to do that. And then you would just stand, of course, to get out of that movement. Okay, we're going to go straight ahead back through the guitar room to the the fourth exhibit that's up here. And that exhibit is the art of perspective. And in here, this exhibit is about testing your ability to see things in different perspectives. And in particular, we're looking at 3D objects and 2D objects. So there's a little game here. There's 3 seats available. If you click on the seat, you'll see a 3D object, and on the left, it's going to give you 3 options of the 2D sketches that might represent that 3D image. So you have to choose the correct one. But this exhibit is about perspective between 3D and 2D. And if you would like to sit down and play the game, it's really quick and short, then I'll give you a minute to do that. The last area that we're going to go to is on the bottom level, so we have to go back down the stairs. And then once you reach the bottom of the stairs, you're actually going to go towards the left, and there will be another set of stairs that we're going to go down. So we're heading down the stairs, and then you make a left to go to the other set of stairs. And then you make a left at the wall. And in this area, it actually has a tutorial for creating your own exhibits. There are actually 2 sections to the tutorial. You have the blue section, which has 7 steps, and you have the orange section, which has about 5 or 6 as well. But the blue section, if you walk through, it gives you all the fundamentals for starting and creating a interactive exhibit. If you click on the little blue board, then it'll take you to a link where you can get more information. And over here on the left, you have on the right, sorry, you have the orange exhibit, and this teaches you pretty much the fundamentals of creating interactive objects within your exhibit. And all of these objects, you can actually play with them, and they move. I like the little brown guy in the corner. If you run into him, he does something. You can throw this triangle. I forgot what the president does, but it looks nice. There's a trampoline as well, and there is a very interesting drum interactive exhibit over here as well in the orange section. So this whole bottom level is to teach you how to create an interactive exhibit. So when you go to the website that they provide and you sign up for a project, then you will have a very good start. And I would like to think of this as maybe being an extension in the classroom. You can give this to your students as a project. They can create their exhibit to demonstrate their understanding. And I just thought it was pretty cool that it actually teaches you how to make these interactive exhibits. And someone, please play the drums. I actually really like them. This is over here with his name. this one right here. And if everyone is done kind of looking around, then Kate is going to take us on our next journey through the Holocaust Museum. Yeah.
Okay, guys, as you get here, we're going to be outside of the museum. You can wander around the patio if you want while we wait. Be careful you don't fall into the ocean. I have a tendency to fall into lakes and oceans and walls and spewing in Second Life and getting stuck. Hopefully no one else has that problem. But we'll just wait a little bit for everyone to kind of meet us in front of the front door. While we wait for people, I'm the person who is in the ridiculous dress, because if you're going to be in a virtual world, you might as well be wearing a super fun dress, right? And I'm realizing now that this is kind of a depressing note to end our tour on, but this site is actually extremely cool. So I spoke to the creator. His name was David Kelvin. And this is part of the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum, which is located in Washington, D.C. And basically, their concept was they wanted to have a place to visit on Second Life, but they didn't want it to take the place of visiting the actual museum. They want people to come to their museum, of course. So they wanted to use this virtual site in a way that would enhance their museum. If you are curious and want to tour the actual museum, there's a pathway that goes to the right where the trees are that will take you through the entire museum. However, the coolest part of this museum is they have a virtual recreation of Kristallnacht, which happened during Nazi Germany, and basically it was the systematic closing of the ghettos that Jewish people were living in, and it was a very violent time. And what they did is they took all of these artifacts and they basically recreated that night. So as we go into the museum, you definitely need to have your audio on, because this is very much sound-based. You're going to hear clips from survivors of that night, that whole event, actually, I should say, that whole historical event. We're going to be seeing different artifacts. And what I like about this is when I'm in a museum, I want to touch things. And I know I can't. But here, if you're not touching stuff, you won't be able to see anything. So if you could all follow me, we're going to go into the first entryway here. And this is just kind of the foyer. And the whole idea is witnessing history. If you are interested in this, there is some sad news about this. The museum no longer has funding to support this. and soon this area will be closed down. And Mr. Kelvin was like, do you know anyone who has some funding who can take over taking care of this site? So as we go in, you're going to notice that it's all black and white because the images from that time period are in black and white. As you go around, you'll see actual photographs and start hearing some of the eyewitness accounts.
Neighbors be aware of what's happening around you. Terrible when you live under dictatorship. Awful. But you're not discriminated against any dictatorship.
Such homo sapiens, wise men, but I sometimes wonder whether we should follow ourselves homo stultissimus, the most foolish one. I think we haven't learned that things can happen everywhere. I have to be on the guard.
So I'm sure all of you have noticed that there is one item in this room that is colored. It is a manila folder on this desk. Now this is kind of the gateway to the next part of this site. So when you click on it, you're going to hear first-hand accounts, and it's going to open the wall behind us. And that wall will take us into the Warsaw Ghetto. So if everyone wants to click on it, it'll give you informational tags. You can read about it. And then when you're done, just walk through here. Now, sometimes it doesn't always work. So if you get stuck in the room and everyone else is already in the ghetto, please, you're going to be clicking on a link that either Josh or Marie will provide you so you can join us. So now we are in the Warsaw Ghetto, and this is recreated from pictures that they have at the the museum. And as you go around, again, there are clickable items, and these items will open up audio and as well as other places to go. So one place that I found interesting was over in here. If you want to follow me into this building here. And we have another account, and I'm sure you're hearing it.
That she was arrested. He tried to hide in the attic, and a policeman came and said, look, I have to bring in the body. If he doesn't come, I have to take you into custody. So my father gave himself up, and he was sent to Buchenwald. He was in Buchenwald for 4 weeks and was dismissed because he was a World War I veteran, fighting for the German army. And the dismissal was under the condition that he would leave the country right away. You know, there was Ausgehverbot, which meant you couldn't go out. I went out. I was very blonde and blue-eyed, and I tried to look like somebody. Attaché case, going to the lawyer, which I did. We tried to get out of that.
So after you have explored police station, I know there's a lot to hear, and it's probably a little overwhelming. Please join me outside, but take your time listening in. So unlike the other places we visited in Second Life, this is something that we couldn't experience in real life. Fortunately, thank goodness. But it is something that is part of our history, and it's something that is valuable. So I can see high school students and middle school students coming through here to hear these accounts and see all the nooks and crannies. I have not been able to fully explore this area, but there is so much to see. There's another area, if you follow me towards this way. Is everyone with me? Okay. And we are going to go into this next building.
Someone knocked on the door
and
told my father that he and his brother and my grandfather should not go to the synagogue that day because something terrible was coming
and told my father that he and his brother and my grandfather should not go to the synagogue that day because something terrible was coming down.
First I didn't know what it meant, but then I realized it.
I was on fire. the smoke
One
coming
person
out.
didn't know what it meant
And
until I
then
realized.
we turned on the radio and we heard the
fire.
news that
Much
most of the
smoke coming
synagogues
out.
were on fire.
And then we
And
turned on the
they shouldn't
radio
go out of the
and
house,
we
Jews
read,
should stay in the house,
we heard the
don't
news
go
that
outside
most
by
of the
our
synagogues
synagogue.
were on fire.
And all I remember
And
is
we
hordes
shouldn't
of
go out of
people
the house, Jews should
standing
stay
in
in the
front
house
of
and don't go
what's called
outside
the
by our
Orthodox
synagogue. And
synagogue,
all I
big
remember is
synagogue of
four
Hamburg.
people standing in
And
front of
it had not
front
been
of
set on
one
fire,
front
and it wasn't set on
big
fire,
synagogue of Hamburg.
but they were standing in front of it
And
and throwing
it
stones
had not been
through
set
the
on fire,
beautiful
and
stained glass
it
one.
wasn't set on
I
fire.
think that they had
But they
gone
were standing in front of it,
into
throwing
the
stones
synagogue
through
and
the
ransacked
beautiful
it
stained
inside.
glass. I think that they had
the
gone into the
Torah scrolls, into the
synagogue
streets.
and
When we talk
ransacked it
about the
inside.
Torah
They
scrolls,
threw
this is the basis of
Torah
our
scrolls
belief. This is
into
the
the street.
basis of our
When we
lives.
talk about the
I mean,
Torah
we
Torah
are
scrolls,
so
this
careful
is
about
the
a
basis of
Torah
our
scroll
belief. This is the
that
basis
when
of
the
our lives.
individual who reads
I
from
mean,
the
we
Torah on
are
Shabbat
so
morning doesn't go
careful
anywhere near
about
And
touching
so
it.
when you've
You have
heard what
a
you
so-called
yourself,
tent
come on outside and we'll go to one last page and
that this was thrown into the streets, it was torn up, it was desecrated
And the fact that
by
this
hordes
was
of people who
thrown into
had
the street, it
absolutely
was torn
Next,
up.
all respect
head
of any of
towards
the
kind of
dignity
back
of
to where we
any
were.
other people's
And
religion.
this
I
next
think
place we are going to
it
go
puts
is over
itself
here on the right.
to the fact that you
Um,
hate for the
and
sake of
sometimes the
hating,
door doesn't
but you really don't know
always
why you're hating.
work for me, but we'll see. No. This is the newspaper. Well, I'm sorry, it's the store that became Aaronized. So well, it doesn't. We'll head on over to this other section because, like I said, it doesn't always work. This will be our last spot altogether, and here is the school that was there.
Something terrible has happened overnight, and it happened in the night between the 9th and the 10th. And something terrible has happened during the night. Got to school, 2 SS or SR, I don't remember who, but I'm sure,
something terrible happened
men
overnight.
with
It
German
happened in the night
shepherds
between the
holding
9th
on
and
to
the
them.
10th.
And the shepherds were
something
wearing
terrible has
buckles
happened during the night.
that were standing in front of
Got
the
to
school,
school,
and we could see, if we
2
looked at the yard,
SS or
at the,
SR, I
some of
don't
the
remember who,
were in
but
the
I'm
yard,
sure
and we could look up into the
men
side where
with
the
German
synagogue was,
shepherds holding on
and that
to
was
them,
all, the roof
and
was
the
all
shepherds
burned
were
out.
wearing muzzles,
And the
were
men
standing
said,
in front of the school,
there's no school for you
and
today,
we
go
could
home.
see,
Schools
if we
anyways.
looked at the yard,
Once
that
ended the school,
some of the desks
school
were in the
doors
yard,
close
and we
behind
could
us. It
look
was a
up
different room.
into the
Forgot all
side
that.
where the synagogue was, and that was all, the roof was all burned out,
But
and
one thing I
the
never
men
realized,
said,
that the teachers,
there's no school
the
for you
heroes,
today, go home.
they came to school every day.
And at the school,
Eventually,
school doors closed behind us. It was
by
a
the
different room.
imminent deportation, they still taught us.
It's a bad time.
I didn't realize that being true to the profession, they
realized
were
that the
every
teachers
day heroes.
were heroes. They
So
came
there
to
is
school every day.
so much detail
Eventually,
to this place, and
By
so
the
many
imminent
heartbreaking,
deportation,
heart-wrenching
they still taught
eyewitness
us.
accounts of this
I didn't realize
time. Do any of you have any
that being
questions?
true to the profession we
Yeah, I agree. The audio is what kind of makes this. Without the audio, it would just kind of be a bunch of depressing brick buildings. And when I brought the group here the first time, poor Marie was like, "This place makes me sad," and it is sad. It is a sad situation, sad event. But this is extremely valuable, I think, to education of all kinds.
Have you been to the museum, Jean, by any chance? Okay. Yeah, and so again, like obviously we can't recreate the museum on Second Life to the same detail, but this is something the museum can't provide.
In some ways, you know, when I visited the museum, it was about maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I didn't really have the time to listen to all of the different audio clips, and it, you know, now that I was in the environment, instead of looking at a picture and listening to an audio clip, being in the room and listening to the audio clip, it added I mean, to me, a greater sense of realism that I didn't feel when I was listening to the audio and just looking at plain pictures. I don't know how to describe it or explain, but I actually was able to feel something while listening and looking around those different rooms that we visited.
Yeah, and I think that is the strength of Second Life, because we are now part of this environment. We're here. So I would agree. And I hope to visit the museum eventually because it would be helpful.
What I have seen some people do in places like this is actual recreations of historical events. This is not one where I want to recreate, but imagine other settings, you know, where each person actually assumes a specific role. Gosh, you could even do a play in here if you wanted to, with the characters, you know, acting and giving their lines. But on the UTV Island, when we used to have Second Life Island, our paramedics would use places like this to recreate certain things. Our criminal justice folks would do it too. We even had a courtroom where the criminal justice students would, some of them would take turns being prosecution, and others were the defense, and then the rest of the class was sitting in the jury box, and then the instructor or someone else would be the judge, and they would go through some mock trials, but to recreate some actual trials that you know, that they had the transcripts for. So there are many different ways to use this environment for learning and training applications.
I also noticed when visiting this museum that I thought that there's so much detail in each little element that they have scanned and incorporated. You know, like they mentioned, I find it sad in some ways, but it's beautifully well done.
Okay. And so, ladies and gentlemen, that was, and oh my gosh, my avatar is going crazy. That was our tour of the places that our retreats found particularly of interest and of value. And we hope that you also were able to gain some value from this tour.
Okay, thank you, Group 3. Really, thanks to all 3 of the groups. I think all 3 of you all did a very nice job in you all's respective field trips. I think that every time I go on a field trip, and I've been teaching this course, and we've been doing this activity for many years, I learn something new, and I see something new. This is the first time I'd actually been to this library and experienced it. I thought it was really amazing, so thank you for selecting it. Class, you're welcome to stick around and explore it some further, or if you want to go ahead and leave, you can go ahead and leave. Remember to pay attention to the course schedule, because in the remaining weeks we've got a lot of work to do on the e-learning module and for the cooperative project. Okay? We'll see you all next week then.
Good night.
Good night, and thank you.
Good night.
Recording stopped.